Hey guys, sorry I only did one video last week, but I was kind of meant to get another one done, but my parents got home from holiday, and I was too lazy, and thus I didn't get it done. What can you do? So I'm going to do an extra one this week if I can. So today's video is going to be a list of the top 5 fictional gods and goddesses, plus a couple of honourable mentions. Here we go. Number 5, Pelor from Dungeons and Dragons. The sun god of the generic cleric. Heh, that's fun to say. In the default setting for the 3rd edition of Dungeons and Dragons, is pretty iconic, at least more so than any of the other deities in the setting. I mean, come on, Obad High, Cord, Haronius. Moradin's the only other one that comes as close, and that's only because dwarves are in everything. Number 4, Aphrael from the Elenium and the Tamuli. Aphrael is nicknamed as the child goddess in the world of the Elenium and the Tamuli. This is because she's kind of the youngest of 1,000 young gods of Styricum. So while she's young, she's still really quite old compared to everyone else in the world. However, she does prefer to take the form of a child. She's also the god that tends to get involved in mortal affairs most often. She particularly aids Sparhawk, the protagonist of the books, quite a lot in many different ways. So she's really cool. Not to do much spoiling, but I've personally nicknamed her the Shipper Goddess. Number 3, Banjo from Order of the Stick. Okay, who doesn't love hand puppets? Elan, one of the main protagonists of the webcomic, is a bit of an idiot, to be honest, but he's a really fun character. And one time when they accidentally leave the cleric behind, because it's based in a Dungeons and Dragons based setting, he attempts to become their new cleric by worshipping not any of the established gods in the setting, but Banjo, the puppet. Enough said. You don't think he's a real god, but he does manage to get some smiting in. Like, he does manage to strike Roy, the main protagonist of the comic, with some lightning. Albeit it doesn't do anything to him, but still, he does smite him. And besides, who doesn't love hand puppets? Odin doesn't not love hand puppets. Number 2, Amaterasu from Okami. Amaterasu is the goddess of the sun in Shinto mythology, and this game, Okami, is very loosely based on Shinto mythology. I point out the looseness in the basing it on Shinto mythology because Amaterasu takes the form of a white wolf and many events happen differently than the ones in the myth, from my research at least. She goes on to save all of Nippon. Psst, that's ancient Japan! With only the help of Isun, a 6-inch tall man who takes on the role of a guide to her, much like Navi does in Legend of Zelda. She even does a slow-mo Matrix-style dodge jump at one point. It's amazing. Go play the game. Number 1, Kid Loki from Marvel. Well, you see, Marvel's version of the Norse god Loki got himself killed fighting a big bad guy, and then Thor, his brother in it, decided to try and bring him back, and found his soul reincarnated in the form of a Parisian scruff, and so managed to sort himself out. But he still stayed in the form of a child. And this is very interesting. He's become a very popular character, as he has a very individual style of doing things, including he turned his old self's soul into a magpie. The rest of the story is quite exciting, but also quite tragic, and I'll leave it to Mr. Kieran Gillen to entertain you with in the form of Journey into Mystery and the Young Avengers that Loki is now currently a member of. Honourable mentions. Set from the Kane Chronicles. Hermes from the Camp Half-Blood series. These two, like Amaterasu and Kid Loki, are based on real mythological characters. Hermes gets an honourable mention because he gets a really interesting character arc, as his son is very important to the events of the Camp Half-Blood series. Set, however, is the main villain of the first book of the Kane Chronicles, and has such a rich and vibrant voice, and demonstrated through his jokes and his plans and his decisions, that he definitely just deserves a place on the honourable mentions list. So that's my thoughts on Fictional Deities. Tell me what you think in the comments. I will see you around, and DFTBA. Nerd Fighters. We may sit in our library and yet be in all quarters of the earth. John Lubbock.